Welcome everyone to the Rise Careerwise Get Hired Summit. And today and now for this session, we have with us Saleel Panse, who is the Talent Acquisition Head at Mondelez International, which makes his job, in my opinion, extremely fun and extremely tempting to get to work every day. So if you look at the background he has on him, I don't know how healthy would that be for me, but I would be eating every one of those things every time I saw it. So let's hear from Salil what's life like at his company and at FMCG organizations. And let's get his insights on the hiring practices. Hi, Salil. Welcome to the summit and thank you for taking the time out.
Hi, Vinny. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me for this summit.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Salil, and your responsibilities at Mondelez International, and also what's life at an FMCG like?
Okay. I head the talent acquisition function for Mondelez India. Uh, I have been essentially, throughout my career, I have been involved in recruitment and talent acquisition. So that's really where my passion lies, and haven't really, done anything else because I love what I do, which is talent acquisition. Uh, Mondelez, of course, is a company which I've been working, for the last about 1.5 years. Before that, I have spent some time in healthcare as well. Uh, to your question, what is it like to be an FMCG company? Well, I think different FMCG companies will have different, pieces of excitement, experiences. What I love about my job is, being in Mondelez, I'm, actually surrounded by some of the most amazing products and people who are working on these products. I mean, you take Cadbury Dairy Milk, you take Cadbury Silk, you take Oreo, Bonvita, Halls, you name it. The fact that these are all great legacy brands of my organization, and I see people around me who are essentially working on various aspects of these brands, is I think the most exciting part of my job. I'll only add one more thing, which is right now something that we are missing a lot. But when we go to office, uh, in our offices, you will find these huge posters of some of the greatest ads that Cadbury's has created. Right from the Preeti Zinta ad, in 90s to even now. And just to see those ads, and those posters just excites you when you go to the workplace and sort of gives you an adrenaline rush. So I think that's how it is for me to work in Mondelez and FMC.
That actually leads me to my next question. Apart from, of course, all the color and the fun, and like you said, you go to watch it, what makes FMCG one of those coveted sectors? I think it's one of the largest sectors that everyone aspires to be a part of. And also, those could be the perks, but what are the drawbacks as well?
Okay, so I think FMCG sector per se, if you look at India, okay, FMCG sector definitely has a special place, when it comes to corporate careers, when it comes to job opportunities. And the reason for me, seems to be the fact that for anybody who's especially in sales and marketing, the opportunity to build some fantastic brands is outstanding in FMCG place. Not to mention the fact that these are everyday brands, but traditionally over the past many years, FMCG has been investing heavily in brand building. Uh, Cadbury's is one example, but you take any major FMCG company, both Indian and multinationals, the focus has been on brand building, which to me is the most exciting part in the Indian market. Now, mind you, why I'm saying this is because if you look at global markets, FMCG is not really differentiated to that extent compared to, let's say, healthcare. I've been in pharma healthcare a long time. It's regulated in India, but not so much abroad. So there, the comparison is similar. But in India, FMCG is a bit ahead. And the second part that happens because of this focus on brand building is ability to attract top talent. I think this is the place, this is the industry which really can attract best of the best talent in India. That obviously helps the sector to increase its value in the minds of job seekers. Uh, and of course, I mean, I think there's no question that it's a very exciting place to work. In the true sense, fast-moving organizations. So I think that's really the pluses of FMCG industry. Uh, what are the drawbacks? Well, I think I wouldn't say that there is any major drawback that this industry has, which is not present in other industries. I think many industries have different kinds of drawbacks, but I think only one thing that I will say about FMCG, which is a key challenge, you really need to match the pace at which the organization is moving, the brands are moving. That's really something which is crucial for you, as a part of the industry, whether you are in talent acquisition, HR, marketing, finance, manufacturing, you need to move at pace, uh, much faster than probably some of the other industries. I think that's the key challenge.
So I guess it's an industry for smart people, but who are also pretty action oriented,
Yeah, you can
not
say
just
that.
strategizers. And okay, I think that's interesting. How does talent acquisition play a pivotal role in your organization then?
Okay, so that's a good question. I think I must tell you that I've been very lucky to be a part of this organization where talent acquisition is a global function, part of HR. So we have a very high focus on driving talent acquisition, as a function which has certain strict guidelines, standard operating procedures, frameworks. The key, for talent acquisition in Mondelez is very simple. You need to get the best talent in the best possible manner in the best possible time. That's it. So if you're able to do that, you are really a successful TA advisor in our organization. And as I mentioned about the characteristics of FMCG industry, which is fast moving, we really are able to attract top talent. Obviously, the job of talent acquisition function becomes very important for Mondelez. It is we who are really the front face of the organization to the external talent pool, and I think we represent our brand in the market, the employer brand. Everybody knows about Cadbury as a product, okay, but very few people know how Mondelez is as an employer, and that's where we come into the picture, and that's how we are positioning ourselves. That, we will get the best talent, but let's not forget we are custodians of our employer brand, facing the external talent pool.
So then, what is the typical process of hiring in your sector?
Uh, I I would be able to talk about my organization. Sectorally, there could be different practices that different companies will have. Uh, but Mondelez is a fairly structured process. We have different layers in terms of hierarchy and seniority, where we tweak our process a little bit. We start with the frontline, hiring, which is at the entry level, frontline sales, whether it is manufacturing or sales, but frontline hiring. There, typically it is mass hiring, spread across the country. We definitely rely heavily on our network and references that come through these different parts of the country. When you go to middle to senior management hiring, we have a strong involvement of our recruiters who are sitting in office, who will use different recruiting channels. We have Workday as a tool where all the applications will come. We have competency-based assessment, through which we will shortlist the candidates, and of course, interviews will take place with hiring managers, etc. And then, when you go to the senior management hires, there, of course, we have a very robust selection process. I won't be able to give you too many details, but I can definitely say that it's one of the most robust methodology that we adopt for leadership hiring.
And in these times, Salil, what is emerging as the new normal also in this case? And have you had to rewrite job descriptions, or even have you had to just completely do away with certain job descriptions?
Uh, I wouldn't say that we had to rewrite some job description. I think obviously there are certain changes that are happening because of the new normal. Remote working is really, is what you do every day now, which was not really present so much. Mondelez, of course, had a flexi working policy for a very long time. So work from home has been a very standard practice for us. But today everybody is working from home. We haven't started our offices yet. Only the frontline salespeople are in the field. So we really haven't really rewritten any job descriptions. Uh, we do look at certain elements when we are hiring a talent now. which are very specific to today's situation. But I think the core roles, they have remained as it is. We haven't made any roles redundant. We are looking at certain characteristics additionally. But yes, we are also doing a project to try and understand what kind of new roles will emerge, as we are settling into this new normal. And we do believe that there will be certain, areas, certain skill sets, where some new roles will emerge for FMCG industry in future.
Okay, and you spoke of elements. You said there are certain elements that now you're looking for more. Could you shed some light on what are those qualities or competencies?
Yeah, sure, sure. So I think those are some of the changes that have been happening over the last few months. We were one of the first organizations, who quickly moved into work from home early, and even before the lockdown was announced, and even all the new joiners, were joining remotely. What we have realized over the last few months is interpersonal skills, the way you would practice them, and you would actually develop them in an office environment when you're face to face with your teams or other people, uh, that is significantly changing now. All of us are on such online mediums, talking to each other via videos. We don't have that personal touch, the way we would have in office. So I think ability to develop interpersonal skills is one of the very important characteristics that we were looking at it even earlier, but we have amplified that aspect today. You may have your skills, you may have your track record, but in the new normal, if you need to be successful, you need to have that ability to develop interpersonal skills, ability to influence without authority, which is going to happen. I mean, I'll give a simple example. Procurement plays a very important role in these organizations, and uh, till before the lockdown, if you have some important buying decision to make, you would walk across your procurement person, talk to him or her, and convince about why you want to do it. That's not the case today. So how will you influence such stakeholders without having that authority online? So that is the second characteristic that we look at. The third piece that we look at is the ability to manage pressure. I must admit, that I think across industry, everybody is feeling that suddenly this work from home has created its own pressure, right? I mean, you have your kids and your family around you, and it's sort of intermingling with your work. It's not really possible in India, especially in cities where we have smaller houses, to have a dedicated room full day for you when you're working for your organization. So that pressure does mount up. There is work pressure, there is family pressure. How a person is managing that pressure is also something which is important for us to evaluate.
Okay, very, very nice. Very interesting. And I think that's something one needs to start looking at because it is true. These are pressures we don't recognize. Honestly, I've been working from home forever. I have my office here. But even then the work from home has taken over life completely. So I can totally
Absolutely.
understand for those who haven't been working from home earlier what they could be going through. How many placements do you see happening for the emerging talent in the near future or even now?
For the emerging time.
Yes.
Okay, so again, about my organization, I can certainly say that we don't really see some significant shift in terms of our overall number of hires, as well as in terms of the early talent. Let's say emerging talent, we call it early talent. Uh, Very minor tweaking. What I expect this year, and probably next year. Things will be hopefully better than this year. So not a significant change as far as emerging talent is concerned. We have been focusing on early talent, what we call, for many, many years. I think our management trainee program is one of the oldest management trainee program, at least 30 plus years, and huge legacy. And we still continue it this year. We will continue it next year successfully. So that area remains unchanged for us.
And you've heard of the early talent bit, and I think so. There's has the shift happened in other areas like other segments,
In terms of the
management, senior
in terms
management?
of the volume, or
Yes. Volume.
Very little. I mean, of course, there is impact. One cannot deny the fact that I mean, many industries have faced severe impact. Maybe FMCG not that much of severity for us, but definitely there is impact, and it has obviously therefore impacted on the overall volume. But I wouldn't say it is significant. I would say there was a small period when there was a bit of a challenge in terms of how many hirings should we do. But I think now things are coming back to the previous hiring volumes. So I would say even at middle management, senior management, pretty much on track like last year.
Okay. And anything in particular that you're going to focus on when you start hiring now, apart from, of course, the three skills you spoke of?
Well, we have been hiring, so we didn't really have any hiring freeze per se.
Right.
So which is I think a positive thing of
Of course.
a good thing. Yeah. So we were of course a little bit selective, a little bit careful in our hiring, but we have continued to hire throughout this lockdown. I think right now, as I said, we haven't really identified some very specific new areas, you know, uh, in terms of roles or skills. Okay, certain characteristics which I already explained to you are there, but the roles remain more or less similar. We do expect some roles. So, for example, I'll just give you one example. We do expect that in the manufacturing space, there could be some changes that could happen in the near future because of this whole lockdown and other aspects of lockdown which have been impacting the corporate world. Uh, but we want to be very sure what are going to be those new skills, new roles before we go and really hire for those skills. So what we are doing right now is we are experimenting with, let's say, maybe a gig worker in some areas, and say, how does that work for us? Let's test and learn, and then we will take the call. Really, what's going to be the future skill that we will require.
Interesting. So now, Salil, we are moving to the next section, which is questions from the audience. And I thought these questions would be pretty relevant to you because I've heard FMCG, and like you said earlier, can and generally does hire the best talent. Like they have the ability to attract really good talent. So, would you choose a candidate who has an MBA over a graduate with the same experience, but with a far better proven track record?
So, who has better proven track
The
record?
graduate.
The
Like
graduate.
we have same experience, only that you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I do tend to get this question, and I don't know why there is this impression that, people won't look at non MBAs. I think that's not really the case. Okay. So, as far as my organization is concerned, I can definitely say uh, there are certain early career roles, where we will definitely look for, let's say somebody who is coming with 2, 3 years of experience. Maybe we will prefer an MBA there, but it's not necessary that if you don't have an MBA, then we will not consider you. So if I find a graduate at that level, or even at 5, 6, 7 years of experience, or even 15 plus years of experience, if I find somebody who's not done a full time MBA, uh, but has the kind of quality of experience, and I think that's important. Okay, it's not about the amount of experience; it's about the quality of experience, and then the cultural fit. Okay, these are the two things which are then qualification really is not going to be a key criteria to reject a candidate. I can definitely say that in Mondelez we do not reject a candidate at the first screening level because the person is not an MD. If he has relevant skills, track record, quality of experience, that candidate, he or she, will be evaluated, will be getting a chance to get interviewed. So that's how I would say we handle.
Okay, that's comforting. Now the second one is also an interesting question. They ask, why do companies prefer experienced candidates over freshers when the freshers won't have an opportunity to get the experience if they don't get a chance? So how can you approach this challenge?
Yeah, I mean, so this is a good question. I think almost all industries, all organizations, would have certain roles, which are, sort of very clearly meant for people with certain years of experience, certain quality of experience, and you cannot really, hedge your bets on hiring a fresher in that role. Okay, And I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you're looking at somebody, to work in the finance department as an auditor, for example, hypothetically, you cannot, put this role at stake by hiring an absolute fresher. Yes, how will that fresher gain an experience? You're absolutely right. But then, auditor is not the role to start with. Okay, you may have to start in some other roles. Then there are roles in every organization where you can look at freshers or maybe people with 1 year of experience. But there are certain roles where you just cannot look at freshers. You need to look at somebody who has that experience and skill set. So it depends, how many such roles are there in different organizations. Some will have many roles for freshers, some will have few roles, but that's how it will work, I think, in any organization.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. We now move to the next section, and this is a fun, quick hire and fire round. So we'll only look for very quick one liner answers. So the first one, what is that one quality in a candidate that is an absolute hit with you, like a sure hire?
Oh, clarity of thinking, no question about
Okay. And what's a sure and an absolute miss with you, like a surefire?
it. Uh, yeah, I mean, opposite to that, somebody who would probably beat around the bush in the first 10 minutes if he or she's not coming up with thought clarity, I lose my interest. Yeah.
Okay. Your favorite interview question?
Mm, yeah. So this is one is a little bit weird. My favorite interview question really is: tell me one example where you have been unsuccessful in any assignment or any project that you have been working. I want to know about your failure. You have told me enough success stories. Let's discuss about your failure story. That's
Nice.
my favorite.
Interesting. Salil, this has been fabulous, very insightful, very informative. Before I go, there is one last key advice that I'd like you to share for anyone who's watching this interview, whether it's a job seeker who's a fresher or at mid management, senior management. What would you tell someone who's looking out for job opportunities?
Well, Vinny, I mean, I don't know whether I'm really somebody, of a stature who can give advice, to job seekers, but I can share my personal learning, my experience. And I can say that one thing that I could do well in my career is to be able to do something that I really love doing. And the reason that I could do it is because I never shied away from being my real self, even in corporate world. Uh, I never shied away and saying, hey, I do not want to become an HR head or forget HR. I don't want to even become an HR business partner. I enjoy talent acquisition. This is who I am. And this is what I love doing. Uh, I would certainly say that that's something that everybody should try and practice. Be your true self, and you will actually be much more comfortable in your environment, because you're not trying to put up any mask, and you're your real self in the corporate world.
Fantastic. Be your true self. And it kind of resonates with what you just said even earlier. So, fabulous, Salil. Thank you so much for giving the time and doing this interview.
Thank you so much, and pleasure to be here with the other speakers, and wish you all the best.